It works best in the dark. As you can see, it works better in total darkness, but you can still see the clock working. It is a FauxNixie clock. That's the word I'm using. It's not a commercial name because I'm not selling it. But I saw a video on TechMoan's channel about a FauxNixie clock. Now, the Nixie tube is a famous thing. It's a classic, now gone electronic component. And some people have made things like them. Usually it involves putting a standard LED display inside of a small tube. And but for this, what we're using is a edge lighting on acrylic or clear plastic panels. Now, I couldn't get plastic panels, so what I chose to do instead was going through my supplies, find a substitute, and the substitute was acrylic tubing, actually rods, acrylic rods that I have. And I decided to use them and to see if I could make my own clock. I have nothing against the FauxNixie or the Nixie. They're both actually really well priced as kits. The problem is that I really wanted to do the programming myself, and I really wanted to do, I wanted to do as much as possible myself. In this project, I used an Arduino Mega, because it had a lot more pins than the regular Arduino. And I used red LEDs. The FauxNixie has LEDs that change color, but I chose to use the red LEDs. I just was able to get them a large number at a low price, and it simplified the code to not to have to change colors. And I'm going to be adding functionality. I'm going to be adding a temperature. I'm going to put an Arduino outside with a small power supply, have it radio in what the temperature is, and have this display it maybe every minute, every 2 minutes, every 30 seconds, something like that. But it's not much of a clock during the daytime, but it's been a lot of fun to make, and I'm going to show you how I made it. I decided to use some acrylic rods I had laying around, as I was unable to reproduce what the FauxNixie and Nixie were able to do. And I found that they would mold pretty well with the heat gun on my new rework station. I was never sure I'd have a use for it, but I ended up having use for it pretty quickly. And I used an old shot glass to do the curves that I needed to do. And the acrylic molds at a temperature that it's very easy to do. You don't burn your hands. You can touch it almost right away. So it was the perfect choice for making the various numbers. And here we go. I've got myself a 9. Pretty quick. This is sped up footage, of course. And we've got our, just make a little, I don't need any protection for my hands. It's perfectly safe. I didn't burn them once. Here are some examples, 5, 6, 7, and 8. This is what they look like. This was a concept idea. Now here's my idea. I actually did white LEDs at first, and they did not look great. The white bled over too much, so I switched to red. Red did a much better job. Here's showing I used metal tubing to contain and direct the light. Initially I used white. You can see I'm using white plastic. Didn't work out very well. I found this at the Habitat for Humanity. It was a bathroom light fixture for $6, and I tore it open and removed all of the electric lighting elements. It has room to put the computer in and all the wiring. I started cutting small circuit boards, breadboard, so that I could put the lighting tubes in, and began mounting them in a pattern that matched the shape of the tubing that I used to denote the numbers. Here you can see is one of the finished ones early on. Now I would modify the numbers and move them around, but this gives you the basic idea. I decided to use wire wrapping. I hadn't used wire wrapping since the 5th grade for a science project, but I decided that I would wire wrap the wires, and that produced a great effect, much easier than just trying to solder them. I do recommend soldering them if you can afterwards. Some of them did come loose. So here's one of my initial tests, and you can see that it's pretty distinctive. It stands out pretty well. And I've got myself a little routine I run, a light show I call it, and that cycles through the numbers pretty quickly, 0 through 9. I decided to add numbers, have full ranges of numbers for 3 of the digits, so I can later on do a temperature function. I'm going to have it, so here's what they look at without the numbers. They kind of have an interesting burn to them. You can even see one switch.